Every 40 seconds, someone in the United States has a stroke, and every 3.5 minutes, one of them dies. That's according to the CDC. But what's more terrifying? Nearly 1 in 4 stroke victims had no prior symptoms at all, no warning signs, no second chances. That's exactly what happened to Mr. Thomas Reynolds, a 74-year-old retired firefighter in Wisconsin. He walked his dog every morning, ate clean, never smoked a day in his life. But last Tuesday, while trimming his backyard roses, he collapsed without a sound. His wife found him minutes later, unresponsive. The ER doctor confirmed it. Massive ischemic stroke. He never made it home. Thomas looked healthy. He was healthy. And yet, it didn't save him. This is the chilling truth. Stroke doesn't discriminate, and most people don't realize it until it's too late. So please, before we dive into today's critical video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Elderly Health Tips. This episode might just save a life, maybe yours, or someone you love. Right now, let's take a closer look at the 4 silent causes of stroke in older adults. The first cause: high blood pressure. High blood pressure, or hypertension, has earned its nickname, the silent killer. And for good reason. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, over 122 million adults in the U.S. have high blood pressure. That's nearly 1 in 2 adults. Among adults aged 60 and up, that number climbs to nearly 2/3, yet less than 25% of them have it under good control. Here's where it gets more serious. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is the #1 preventable risk factor for stroke, #2 for heart attacks, and a leading cause of kidney failure and dementia in older adults. The American Heart Association, AHA, warns that even a consistent blood pressure of just 130/80, once considered borderline, can significantly increase the risk of brain damage over time. Let me give you a case. Mr. Henry Jacobs, 70, from Michigan, came to my clinic last year. He hadn't seen a doctor in over 5 years. "I feel great," he said. "Just getting old." We ran a few tests, and his BP came back 174/102. That's stage 2 hypertension. His only complaint? Sometimes I forget words when I talk. Turns out he had already experienced multiple microstrokes, or TIAs, transient ischemic attacks, without knowing it. A study published in JAMA Neurology, 2021, showed that high blood pressure in your 50s and 60s increases your risk of dementia by 62% in later life. The same study found that long-term exposure to elevated blood pressure shrinks the brain's hippocampus, the region responsible for memory and learning. Now, how exactly does high blood pressure do so much damage? Here's the breakdown, simple and clear. When blood pressure stays high over time, it creates constant force against the inner walls of arteries, especially the small, delicate ones in the brain, eyes, kidneys, and heart. That pressure slowly causes tiny tears in the vessel lining, which the body tries to repair with plaque. Over time, this leads to narrowing, clotting, and even ruptures. In the brain, this leads to ischemic stroke, blocked blood flow due to clots, hemorrhagic stroke, burst blood vessels, vascular dementia, slow decline in thinking, memory, and reasoning. In the kidneys, chronic kidney disease, CKD, dialysis dependence in later life. In the heart, left ventricular hypertrophy. The heart wall thickens from overwork. Heart failure. Now the good news is, it's treatable. And for many older adults, it's even reversible with the right lifestyle changes. Let's talk solutions, practical ones that work for real people. 1. Dietary changes that make a difference. Oats plus flaxseed. A randomized trial in hypertension research, 2020, showed that adults who ate 30 grams of oats plus 2 tablespoons of flaxseed daily for 8 weeks reduced their systolic BP by 9 millimeters of mercury on average. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, arugula, and Swiss chard are rich in potassium and nitrates. They help blood vessels relax and lower pressure naturally. Beets. High in nitric oxide, beets help dilate blood vessels. A UK study in the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics found that 1 cup of beet juice reduced systolic BP by 5 to 7 millimeters of mercury within hours. Greek yogurt. Low fat. Rich in calcium, potassium, and probiotics. Several U.S. cohort studies show a 20% lower risk of hypertension among older adults who consume yogurt 3 or more times a week. Unsalted nuts. Almonds, pistachios, and walnuts contain magnesium, a natural vasodilator. Hibiscus tea. A clinical study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that drinking 3 cups daily for 6 weeks lowered systolic blood pressure by 7 points. 2. Lifestyle habits that help regulate BP walking after meals. Research from the American Journal of Hypertension shows that a 10-minute walk post-meal can reduce blood pressure spikes in seniors by as much as 15%. Breathing exercises. Deep breathing. 4 seconds inhale, 6 seconds exhale. Just 5 minutes a day can calm the nervous system and lower blood pressure, according to Stanford's Cardiovascular Research Institute. Drink water regularly. Dehydration thickens the blood, forcing the heart to pump harder. Most older adults should aim for 6 to 8 cups per day, unless otherwise restricted. Sleep quality. The Sleep Heart Health Study found that people with poor sleep, under 5 hours per night, were twice as likely to develop hypertension over time. I always tell my patients, you don't need to overhaul your life overnight. But pick one habit. Start there. Add beets to dinner twice a week. Take a short walk after lunch. Cut back on salty processed foods. These small steps compound over time. The second cause of stroke. High cholesterol and atherosclerosis. A staggering 94 million American adults, nearly half of the adult population, have high cholesterol. But here's the kicker. Most of them don't even know it. And for older adults, the numbers are even worse. High cholesterol, particularly high LDL, low-density lipoprotein, is one of the most underdiagnosed yet deadly threats facing older Americans today. You can't feel it, and it doesn't hurt, but it silently builds inside your arteries over years, often leading to sudden heart attacks or strokes. According to the CDC, about 38% of adults aged 60 and older have elevated LDL cholesterol levels. That means nearly 4 out of every 10 seniors are at high risk for plaque buildup in their arteries, a condition known as atherosclerosis. And let's not sugarcoat it. This isn't a small issue. The National Institutes of Health, NIH, reports that atherosclerosis is responsible for over 50% of all deaths in the U.S. related to cardiovascular disease, which is already the #1 cause of death in the country. Now here's how it works, in plain language. When LDL cholesterol levels stay high, that excess cholesterol starts sticking to the inner lining of your arteries. Over time, it forms plaque, a hard, fatty buildup that narrows the artery and reduces blood flow. This process is what we call atherosclerosis. Sometimes that plaque cracks, and when it does, your body tries to patch it with a clot. If that clot completely blocks the artery, you get a heart attack or a stroke. Just like that. Ideal cholesterol numbers for adults over 60. LDL, bad. Below 100 milligrams per deciliter, HDL, good. Above 50 milligrams per deciliter, triglycerides. Below 150 milligrams per deciliter, total cholesterol. Under 200 milligrams per deciliter. But here's the reality. According to a 2022 report from the American College of Cardiology, 71% of men over 65 have cholesterol levels above target. 63% of women over 65 are in the same boat. Only 1 in 3 older adults receive appropriate lipid-lowering treatment. That means millions are flying blind. Studies have consistently shown that dietary changes can reduce LDL by 15% to 30%, even without medications. Oats. Rich in soluble fiber. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that consuming 3 grams of soluble fiber from oats daily can lower LDL by 5 to 10%. Avocados. A randomized trial at Penn State University showed that eating 1 avocado a day for 5 weeks significantly lowered LDL levels in overweight and obese adults. Fatty fish. Salmon, mackerel, sardines, full of omega-3s. According to the AHA, omega-3s help reduce triglycerides by up to 30%. Berries, especially blueberries and raspberries, packed with antioxidants that protect arteries from oxidative damage. Olive oil. Replace butter with extra virgin olive oil. It's shown to increase HDL while lowering LDL, according to research published in the New England Journal of Medicine. Walnuts and flax seeds. Both are rich in ALA, a plant-based omega-3, which helps reduce plaque formation. One study found that walnuts lowered LDL by 16% in seniors over 60. Lifestyle habits. That lower risk walk for 30 minutes a day. Just brisk walking has been shown to reduce LDL and improve HDL. A meta-analysis in sports medicine found that walking 5 days a week for 12 weeks lowered LDL by 8% on average. Get 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep. Poor sleep is linked to metabolic syndrome and cholesterol imbalance. Quit smoking. It drops HDL and inflames arteries. Manage stress. Chronic cortisol spikes from anxiety or depression can raise blood fats. Here's the scary part. Most people don't have symptoms until something serious happens, but subtle signs can show up. Fatigue even after mild exertion. Chest discomfort or tightness. Leg pain while walking, called claudication. Cold feet or hands. Erectile dysfunction in men. If you've noticed any of these, get checked. The third cause of stroke. Diabetes. I've practiced medicine for more than 3 decades, and if there's one thing I wish more patients understood, it's that diabetes doesn't just affect your blood sugar. It slowly harms your blood vessels, your brain, your nerves, and your heart. And in seniors, those effects can show up quickly, even without full-blown diabetes. When your blood sugar remains high for long periods, especially after meals or overnight, it creates chronic inflammation in your bloodstream. Over time, sugar molecules start to attach to proteins in your blood vessels, a process called glycation. This damages the lining of tiny blood vessels, especially the ones in your brain, kidneys, heart, and eyes. As those vessels weaken, they become more prone to rupture or blockage, increasing your risk of stroke up to 2 times higher. Heart attacks, 1.8 times higher. Cognitive decline, 50 to 80% higher. Kidney failure, vision loss, diabetic retinopathy. That's why doctors now call it a vascular disease, not just a sugar problem. Over 38 million Americans have diabetes, CDC 2024. Another 96 million have prediabetes, and 80% of them don't know it. In adults 65 and older, 29.2% have diabetes. That's nearly 1 in 3 seniors. Diabetes is the 7th leading cause of death in the U.S., but it's massively underreported because most people die from its complications, not the blood sugar alone. The Framingham Heart Study, one of the longest-running health studies in the world, showed that seniors with diabetes had double the risk of stroke, even when their blood pressure was normal. And in a 2023 analysis from JAMA Neurology, older adults with diabetes had faster brain shrinkage and lower memory scores than those without diabetes, even after controlling for age, lifestyle, and medication use. You might think diabetes is obvious: thirst, peeing a lot, weight loss. But in seniors, the signs are much more subtle. Watch for brain fog, mood swings, fatigue, blurry vision, slower wound healing, tingling or numbness in feet. A lot of my patients say, "I'm just getting older." But many times, it's rising blood sugar, not age. Here's what you need to check. Fasting glucose, morning before eating. Normal, under 100 milligrams per deciliter. Pre-diabetic, 100 to 125 milligrams per deciliter. Diabetic, 126 milligrams per deciliter, or higher. A1C, 3-month average. Normal, under 5.7%. Pre-diabetic, 5.7% to 6.4%. Diabetic, 6.5% or higher. If your numbers are in the pre-diabetic range, that's your chance to reverse it before permanent damage sets in. Forget fad diets. Here's what science shows works: steel-cut oats plus cinnamon, high in soluble fiber. Cinnamon has insulin-mimicking properties. A Journal of Medicinal Food study found a 20% reduction in fasting glucose in type 2 diabetics taking cinnamon daily for 8 weeks. Lentils and beans. The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition reported that eating legumes 4 times per week reduced A1C by 0.5% in just 12 weeks. Leafy greens, loaded with magnesium, which helps cells become more sensitive to insulin. Greek yogurt, unsweetened, rich in protein and probiotics. A study in Diabetes Metabolism Research and Reviews found that people who ate yogurt daily had 18% lower risk of type 2 diabetes. Apple cider vinegar, diluted. Multiple studies show it helps lower post-meal glucose spikes by up to 30% when taken before meals. Berries, blueberries, raspberries, low glycemic index and rich in polyphenols. They improve endothelial function, the lining of blood vessels. Lifestyle habits that help. Even in your 60s or 70s. Walking after meals, just 15 minutes can lower blood sugar by 20 to 30%, especially after dinner. Sleep at least 7 hours per night. Poor sleep impairs glucose metabolism. Don't eat carbs alone. Pair with protein or healthy fats to slow absorption. Stay hydrated. Dehydration raises blood sugar. Limit added sugars to under 25 grams per day. That's about 6 teaspoons. Let me give you an example. George, a 66-year-old retired bus driver from Illinois, came in with an A1C of 6.4%. He wasn't ready for medication. We worked on his breakfast: oatmeal with cinnamon instead of cereal, swapped soda for sparkling water, took a 10-minute walk after dinner. 3 months later, his A1C dropped to 5.8%, and he felt more energized than he had in years. The 4th cause: irregular heartbeat, arrhythmia. I remember treating Mr. Calvin Mitchell, 74 years old, a retired firefighter from North Carolina. Strong guy, still mowed his own lawn. One afternoon, he came in complaining of occasional shortness of breath and feeling off. We ran an EKG. It showed classic signs of AFib. His heart rhythm was completely irregular. "But doc, my heart doesn't hurt," he said. That's the scary part. AFib doesn't always hurt, but it can still kill. Let's make this simple. In atrial fibrillation, your heart's upper chambers, the atria, don't beat properly. Instead of pumping blood effectively, they quiver or flutter. This leads to blood pooling, and when blood sits still, it can form clots. If a clot travels to the brain, boom, stroke. And not just any stroke. AFib-related strokes tend to be more severe and more disabling, according to the American Heart Association. AFib affects nearly 6 million Americans, and that number is expected to double by 2030, according to the CDC. It's most common in people over 65 and affects 10% of all adults 80 and older. AFib causes about 1 in 7 strokes in the U.S. The risk of stroke is 5 times higher in people with AFib compared to those without. Many people with AFib, up to 1 in 3, are completely asymptomatic. That's right. You could have it, and not even feel a thing. The most common symptoms are irregular or racing heartbeat, shortness of breath even when resting, fatigue that seems out of proportion to your activity, lightheadedness or dizziness, a strange, fluttering sensation in your chest. But again, some people feel nothing at all. That's why regular checkups and pulse checks are so important, especially if you're over 60. Now, here's the part that gives us hope. There are real, practical steps you can take to support your heart and reduce AFib episodes. Let's start with nutrition. Bananas, loaded with potassium, which helps stabilize the electrical activity of your heart. Avocados, rich in healthy fats and magnesium. Fatty fish like salmon and sardines, great source of omega-3s, which lower inflammation and help prevent rhythm irregularities. Leafy greens provide vitamin K and folate, both essential for heart health. Nuts like almonds and walnuts, high in magnesium, which may help calm erratic heartbeats. A 2021 study in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology found that people who ate a Mediterranean-style diet, rich in fish, nuts, vegetables, and olive oil, had a 28% lower risk of developing AFib over time. Now let's talk daily habits. Cut down on caffeine. Too much can trigger episodes in sensitive individuals. Try herbal teas or decaf alternatives. Stay hydrated. Dehydration is a sneaky trigger. Aim for 6 to 8 cups of water a day, unless your doctor says otherwise. Prioritize sleep. Poor sleep raises cortisol and affects your heart rhythm. Manage stress. Deep breathing, meditation, or even 10 minutes of stretching can help regulate your nervous system. And please, don't ignore mild symptoms. One of my patients, Susan, 68, from Arizona, thought she was just getting tired from age. Turns out she had been in intermittent AFib for months. We caught it early. She changed her diet, started walking daily, and avoided stimulants. Her episodes dropped dramatically, and she stayed off medication. Your heart, your blood vessels, your brain, they're all connected. And the truth is, conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and AFib rarely show up alone. They work silently, and they often team up. But you're not helpless, not at all. Every small change you make, every walk after dinner, every healthy meal, every mindful breath pushes back against these silent threats. So please, don't wait for a crisis. Start today. And if you found this video helpful or know someone who needs to hear it, like, share, and subscribe to Elderly Health Tips. Because staying informed is the first step to staying alive.